Hi guys, what's going on? I'm coming to you today with Thrawn's master plan. So, spoiler alert, before we go any further, if you don't want to know what happens in the Thrawn book, I'm going to be talking about that book, and I'm going to definitely go into heavy spoilers from the book, so this is your warning. If you don't want any of that, back out now. I'm probably also going to be talking about some other books as well, so specifically the Aftermath books and Star Wars Rebels and kind of how everything fits together. So if you don't mind spoilers, or if you've already read what's out there, then let's continue. Alright, so just finished Thrawn, big spoilers, and I'm actually going to be doing a full book review here pretty soon, but right now I want to talk about, you know, we're kind of revealed what Thrawn's ultimate goal is, and it's not just service to the Empire. If you read the EU stuff, you know he wants to defend the Chiss people, and you know he ends up he's exiled, and he comes into the service of the Emperor, and that's kind of the pretense that we're given in the beginning of this book, and that he was exiled and he still wants to defend his people, and the Emperor gives him a way to do that. Well, towards the end of this book, he ends up meeting with Night Swan, who is like kind of the guy he's going after, kind of like Sherlock Holmes going after Moriarty. He meets with Night Swan in secret, and you know he has like a respected adversary, and they're out of listening range. There's no electronic devices nearby, and basically he spills his guts, and he kind of comes clean about a lot of things, and he's like, listen. You know, we learned for one that Thrawn is not a bad guy. He's not just a blind servant to the Empire, and he's not okay with just indiscriminate killing. And you kind of know that already from Thrawn. You kind of get that throughout the whole book and everything we know of Thrawn. He's not evil. He's definitely not evil. We also learned he wasn't actually exiled. He was planted there, and the whole thing is a fake. We learned that ever since, you know, we know that he had a meeting with Anakin Skywalker. We've known that since the sample chapters, and they talk about that in the book. They don't go into a whole lot of details about it. I think it'll be a comic book or short story, or even a miniseries, potentially. But we do learn that he has been scouting the Empire for a long time, and he's trying to get as much information about the Empire as he possibly could. So one of the things that this kind of leads to is he didn't actually expect to join the Imperial Navy. His whole mission was just to, you know, sneak aboard a ship, you know, basically get the Empire to come to where he was, claim he was in exile, and get an audience with the Emperor, and hopefully be able to study the Empire and get information. And the idea here is that they're going to talk about all these other evils. Like he mentions several times in the book that there are greater evils besides the Empire. Big stuff, that's big nasty stuff. Now, it's not named, but it seems like it's going to be the Vong. It may not be the Vong by name, it may be something similar. He says there's multiple evils that are way worse than the Empire, so it might be many different things. But the door is definitely open on the Vong too, which is huge. But, you know, all right, so he talks about all these evils, and the idea here is that he's like, well, maybe the Empire could be used to, you know, defend the Chiss people against the Vong, or we could, you know, maybe they'd be an ally. He just wanted to assess the situation. But he found that, you know, being offered to serve in the Navy gave him a much greater opportunity to learn about their military capabilities, their defensive capabilities, and everything there. Now, if you know anything about the books, the Death Star is pretty much mentioned in every book that's going on from the Rebels' time, for everything from Episode 3 all the way to, you know, till Episode 4. So any book that takes place around the Rebels time frame, like Catalyst, the Rogue One, you know, obviously Rogue One was about the Death Star, but it's mentioned everywhere. And even in books that's not deliberately about the Death Star, it's just, you know, that the Empire is getting so much, you know, so many materials, strip mining entire worlds, and nobody knows where all the supplies are going because they're not making that many ships. I mean, they're making a lot of ships, so you know. People are all aware that something's going on. Thrawn puts the pieces together, and he basically, Timothy Zahn had even said that, you know, because originally Thrawn had came out after Return of the Jedi, that Thrawn wouldn't have been okay with the Death Star, wouldn't have been okay with just exterminating an entire planet, and he certainly alludes to that in this meeting with Night Swan. So he does even he tells Night Swan that, you know, if this Death Star, or they don't even know what it's called at the time of the conversation, but if whatever the Empire is doing is, you know, could threaten the Chiss, then he would change his allegiance. which is huge because it's straight up treasonous, right? It's not Thrawn completely joining the rebels, and he doesn't join the rebels, but he totally has a plan here, and it's not, you know, allied to the Emperor. He says that, you know, the Empire could be good, but it's run by a bad guy. He acknowledges that Palpatine is evil. He also goes on to say, but Palpatine won't live forever, and after he's gone, whoever takes his place could be good, and that's one of Thrawn's hopes, and that, you know, to make the Empire a good thing, which is, you know, part of his goal. He's also got the other goals of sending really good people to the Chiss to kind of indoctrinate them and to bolster the Chiss Defense Force. And so he tries to send Night Swan. He ends up sending Eli Vanto, who is his buddy, like his sidekick throughout the entire book, and somebody that's basically learned a lot from him. So I think we'll see Eli Vanto again. They definitely set it up for that. I mean, Eli Vanto is a pretty cool guy too. You'd like him in the book, but you know, it's just interesting how he's not who you thought he was at all. And so his whole thing is about defending the Chiss. He's working for the Chiss. He's not exiled, and he's trying to get information about the Death Star. It turns out Night Swan has information about the Death Star. They've managed to glean little pieces. At the end of the book, he straight up asks Palpatine, "Tell me about the Death Star." And Palpatine gets like pissed. Like, how the hell did you learn about this? Pardon my language. He wants to know how you learned about this. And you know, he just plays it off like, look, I pieced it all together. You know, I was able to figure out how big it would be based on how many materials are unaccounted for, and he puts it all together. You know, and the Emperor reassures him, no, it's okay. I'm not going to turn against the Chiss people. You know, you've been helping me, and this is confirming other stuff. This is confirming my Thrawn's, you know, if you check out some of my other Thrawn videos, I talk about that. I think Thrawn will be in episode 8, because I believe he helped map, you know, and I had to have the theory that Thrawn kind of helped the Emperor get to the unknown regions, and you know, because they alluded to that, and this more concretely confirms it, because the Emperor is like, you know, you've been really helpful in helping me map my way to the unknown regions and helping all the hyperspace jumps, and you know, and so that's good. And I have a feeling that the Emperor is going to send Thrawn away before he uses the Death Star. He doesn't. Because the Emperor is smart, too. The Emperor can read Thrawn just as much as Thrawn can read people. The Emperor can read your mind, basically. And so I think the Emperor is going to catch on to Thrawn's lack of true allegiance and send him away before the Death Star is used. So hopefully he won't have knowledge of it. And I think so. That's why I'm doubling down on my Thrawn is a founding member of the First Order, and that Thrawn is on board the Eclipse. So that's what I think. But yes, he also says that, you know, because he thinks that once the Emperor dies, somebody else will a better person will take over. So I would not be surprised if Thrawn actually had something to do with the death of the Emperor. Now, okay, we know that Vader threw him into the pit. We know that Vader did that, right? Well, there's more pieces to this puzzle. Perhaps Thrawn engineered, you know, the information that the Bothans brought to the rebels. You know, maybe Thrawn, you know, had an agent or somebody get the plans to the Bothans, you know, to facilitate the Emperor's death. Basically, Thrawn wants the Emperor dead, and that's huge. So if he wants the Emperor dead, he wants to defend Chiss. The Chiss people, you know, he's sending people to the Chiss. It's almost like Thrawn's a secret rebel. It's almost that way, and that's. Like it's not. He's totally an Imperial officer, but he cares. He thinks like the way a rebel. Like if you had the perfect rebel infiltrator, it would be Thrawn, all right? And that's crazy. And I mean, and that's. I know how hard that is to take in, considering watching Rebels season 3, but. You know, it's, and I think the distinction here is that the Rebels in season 3 really don't have anything to do with Thrawn's greater plan, so he doesn't have to show them a special type of leniency. He doesn't have to, you know, change. He doesn't have to show his hand. Also, the book hadn't come out yet in season 3, so they had to totally make him look, you know, like a bad guy. I'm predicting that in season 4, we're going to see Thrawn show some sensitivity to the Rebels. We're going to show him be almost like a fulcrum himself, or at least we'll have the potential for that. especially if he thinks that these rebels have a shot at taking out the Emperor. I don't think they will, and I don't know if they'll go there, but I think that we're going to at least get breadcrumbs that kind of point us in that direction, because this is a huge character change for Thrawn. And he only says it in the absolutes of secrecy, but the thing is, and they kind of leave you with the idea of maybe he wasn't genuine, because Wolf Yularen shows up right after this conversation where he spills his beans and is like, listen, I'm not really gung-ho on the Empire either. I'm hoping somebody else takes Palpatine's place, and if I find out that whatever they're building could destroy my homeworld, I'm totally changing sides. So, but Wolf Yularen walks up towards the end of that conversation as Night Swan is leaving with a blaster pointed at Thrawn. It's like, why shouldn't I kill you for treason? Well, they play it off like he didn't hear everything. He was just like, why were you meeting with the enemy and you didn't kill him? And he's like, listen, I was trying to get him to leave. I was trying to send him to join the Chiss, so this way the rebels here wouldn't have a leader and the rebellion would fall apart. Yularen buys the story, but it kind of leaves you with these shadows of doubt. Like maybe, Yularen heard more than that. Maybe Yularen is actually a sympathizer, which I don't think so, because Yularen is a good guy, but he's totally Empire. Like, he's totally, like... And they do a good job of kind of convincing you, like, there are good Imperials who believe, like, yes, the Empire, we've had to do bad, then there are a lot of, this is explained a lot in the books, and a lot of you who are pro-Empire, will share in the sentiment that, yes, there are some bad things done, but there's also a lot of good that's done, and you have to do bad things sometimes to accomplish good things. And then we're getting too political and into the gray areas and everything, but the point is, Thrawn is a much nicer guy than we all give him credit for. Once he finds out what the Death Star can do, he may switch forces. So if he survives Season 4, because we know that Rook is showing up, so if Rook doesn't kill Thrawn, which I don't think Rook is going to kill Thrawn, he can totally either get sent away before the Death Star is used, which is my actual prediction, or they may do something crazy and have him actually betray the Empire. And what an ally, what an asset. I think that's breaking the Legends version of Thrawn too much to make him become a rebel. I don't see that, but it certainly seems like he's got the sympathy there that he might do a little bit to help out, or like strategically allow Kanan and Ezra to escape a dire situation. It's just like, hey, tell your people the Death Star is real, or something like that. Thrawn may be involved in the Saw Gerrera episode, because Thrawn also wants answers. He may allow Saw Gerrera to escape, and maybe Saw Gerrera is losing his mind by this time, and maybe Thrawn passes him a message. It's like, look, you got a man on the inside. I want to stop the Death Star too, because Thrawn would not want the Death Star, knowing exactly what it can do, he would not want it. He would not be supporting that. So it's possible he might even talk to Saw Gerrera and say, look, I'm your man, and then Saw Gerrera doesn't believe him because his mind is too far gone and a missed opportunity. So I don't know. What do you think about this news about Thrawn being, a potentially a good guy? I mean, I've always liked the character. He's probably my favorite Imperial, but I mean, he's actually a nice guy. All right. Do you think, once we actually see the Chiss, and they've got to be coming. I don't know if they're coming in Season 4 or if they're going to be just saved for a sidebar. I think they would make a great force for maybe an offshoot, like a spin-off show. So that's, especially if, Ezra and Sabine end up going and taking branches of a tree and going in different directions. I could see them interacting, the Chiss either being an ally or an antagonist. Do you think they would be bad or good? I have a feeling they would be good. But they would be like a cruel type of good. Like, look, this is right, we'll do this, but we're going to kill everybody that stands in our way to get this done. That's the mentality I get. But let me know what you think about this. Oh my gosh. If you haven't already, please subscribe to get more updates. I will be doing a full review of the Thrawn book soon. And give this video a like if you liked it. And leave me a comment in the section below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.